It's the Josh and Josh Talk Wrestling Podcast. My name is Josh, and with me as always, hey-oh, it's Josh. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what up, Josh? What up, people? What's going on? Thank you for the Hacksaw intro, man.
You betcha.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I've always been a huge Hacksaw Jim Duggan fan.
You do much better than I do. But did you ever see the episode of the Harry and the Henderson TV show with Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
No.
You know, it's funny. I haven't checked recently, but I've tried to look this up on YouTube twice before in years past. I can never find a clip. It's like a Mandela effect thing to me. I don't know what the deal is.
Oh my gosh. So Harry and the Hendersons, that was actually the first movie I cried at. It wasn't really? Bambi like most kids.
Oh, okay.
For me, it was Harry and the Hendersons. When like John Lithgow at the end is hitting Harry and saying, like, "Go back to your family." Yeah. And I was crying.
It's an emotional moment, yeah.
So I didn't know about the Hacksaw Jim Duggan on the TV show.
Yeah, he was like playing him. I think he was playing himself, or if he wasn't, he was playing someone like that was like
Harry?
Hacksaw Tim Duggan or something.
That's what I could
like,
actually see him being like a family member of Harry.
Oh, yeah. On the show, at some point in the show, I believe everybody knows Harry exists.
Yeah.
So like Hacksaw.
Oh, in the whole world? Or?
Yeah, like it just comes out and he just lives with them. If I remember right.
Huh.
If I remember right, Hacksaw's like, "Hey, Harry, how you doing?" And it's just like, it's just the most ridiculous thing ever. And of course, Hacksaw plays a wrestler and he does some kind of wrestling. And if I remember right, as you might imagine, Harry gets into the ring at some point. And he pounds on like the evil baddie guy, and and it's all kayfabe, of course. I don't remember if WWE is involved. It probably was. I feel like it would have been, right?
I didn't know about this.
Yeah. If anybody out there has a clip or something or a link or they find it, send us. We'd love to share it with the world again.
Yeah, hit us up in the hot box, Josh and Josh Talk Wrestling at gmail.com. Mm-hmm. I never knew about that. That's really... That's like very awesome.
Nope.
I want to check that out.
So yeah, there you go. There's your trivia tidbit.
But yeah, actually about this time right now, we're doing the recording, but hopefully our boys and gals are getting back.
Yes.
It should be about this time. I think it was like, 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Eastern. They'd be getting back to the States. But that's a whole mess. My gosh. So Crown Jewel, you watched it, right?
Crown Jewel, I watched it. I did not watch it live. That is always my protest. I watched it later. But yeah, I watched it. It was all right. It had some moments. The Fiend he's your new champion.
Well, and I knew they would go that way because they kept, as far as mentioning, well, this match has to, continue. It has to have a decision, which I don't remember when Falls Count Anywhere became greater than the Hell in a Cell match, but I guess here we are, 2019. But no, I actually knew, I believed Bray Wyatt was going to win because I was just like, well, yeah, I mean, they could end it with Seth Rollins going over, but it's like, you kind of want to keep this character undefeated and all the work that's gone into Bray Wyatt and how he's drawing.
Right.
People love him. The networks love him. They push for him to be on SmackDown. People have pushed for him to be the World Heavyweight Champion. But, and here we are, we have him. So it's like one of those where Seth Rollins could take a loss and still be over as Seth Rollins. So I actually felt that Fiend was going to pull this off because, like, where else do you go with the Fiend now, right? You've got the Fun House. This is one of the main reasons why people are, as far as tuning into to WWE wrestling right now.
Right.
There's a huge following with AEW. I get that. There's a huge following with a lot of other federations. Also, you think about NWA Power.
Power Hour.
Tearing it up.
I checked it out on YouTube. Yeah,
they've been tearing it up, man. So there's a lot of good wrestling out there right now, but this is one of the huge draws for SmackDown. So I wasn't surprised that the Fiend actually went over. It was an okay match, but it's interesting to me because it's one of those where Seth Rollins. People are sort of getting on the offense about Seth Rollins and how he is sort of fighting back against the fans. Kind of like appreciate what you're getting and all that. You have to realize that's not Seth Rollins talking. That's Vince McMahon using Seth Rollins as a puppet.
Right.
When you are the guy, which Seth Rollins is the guy right now, when you're the guy, you're on 24/7. You've given your soul to WWE.
Yeah.
You will be handsomely rewarded, right? But like, here's the thing: you give up your soul to WWE when you're the guy.
Well, I think Paige said in some documentary that WWE basically owns you.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, who wants it?
Right.
What are you willing to give up to get to that level? And Seth Rollins is willing to give up everything. Ric Flair was someone that was willing to give up everything, and so the list goes on and on and on.
Right.
But and the thing about it is, people. I hear what he's saying, but I think the issue is that he's saying that people are complaining about the match. I don't think really the fans are complaining about the match. No. I thought the match was a great match. It told a good story. I liked it a lot. It was the actual decision, the referee stoppage, and this is the second year in a row in a Hell in a Cell. the year before, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, a no contest.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And it's a Hell in a Cell. It's meant to, as far as enclose on a feud, not expand it as such. And if you are going to expand it, well, I guess this is one way to go about it. But I think it's Vince McMahon using Seth Rollins as a puppet.
That's for sure.
And when people get offensive about Seth Rollins, realize it's not Seth Rollins. He probably agrees with you. He actually probably agrees with with what the fans are saying. But again, when you're the guy, you are the guy for WWE. But yeah, and overall, as far as with the title change, the Universal title change, I was fine with it. Overall, the match was okay. Again, I think the Hell in a Cell was the bit of the controversy there. But what were your thoughts on the as far as the Universal match at Crown Jewel?
It was a great match. Yeah, like you said, it did tell a good story. It was nice to actually see something that really went somewhere. You just, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the actual telling of a story gets lost at times a lot. The red light, it's kind of getting a little old. I feel like having the entire match red light the entire time now. I'm kind of starting to...
Sin Cara used to do with, you had the blue lighting. And just to me, it's one thing as an entrance or as an exit.
Right.
But during the match, you shouldn't own it. Like, The Undertaker should not have, as far as fog and the cemetery in the back when he's, wrestling. Like, it should actually be a very neutral, which is lights up, the whole fans, everyone can see. But that's the thing. I think it should be reserved for before and after the match.
Before and after the match. Or maybe during a special moment of the match. Maybe the light goes red when the Fiend does something. But,
sure.
you don't just keep it. Yeah.
So overall, it was kind of cool. We saw some history being made with the women's match. I think it was kind of a bit underwhelming, but it was nice. It's an actual good match to have.
Yeah,
it actually broke some barriers. So I think that's the core of it. That's the core of what we have to think about. I don't want to blame the workers at all. I think that we kind of knew the politics involved and whatnot. But for them just to be able to do this, that's breaking ground.
Yeah,
that's progress. So kudos to everyone involved with that, and especially Natalya and Lacey Evans. Yeah,
it was all right. It was good. I'm glad. Yeah, let's just take it for the positive that it is and focus on that.
Yep. But overall, let me ask you this. So we kind of expected with as far as Team Hogan, Team Flair. I don't know about you, but I was pretty sure Hogan was going to go over.
I expected that. Yeah.
It was fun. It seemed like the crowd was really into it, kind of in the last couple minutes of the match. But it was to me, it was too predictable. I knew all along Hogan was going to go over. Yeah, it was one of those where it was kind of you got this non-canon WrestleMania. You have these big sort of spectacle matches, and then you kind of have the actual sort of controversial political layer of Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair outside of the ring,
right?
And we're still celebrating them as icons and putting them on these pedestals, which arguably we should be. But I think other fans would probably say, on the other hand, there is an argument to be made, right? So I think there's a lot of different layers there. But I think the big thing with Crown Jewel, and I'm just going to get right to it, Josh. Do you think that WWE can fix Crown Jewel? That people, you mentioned yourself. You said so yourself that, hey, I didn't watch it live in protest. You're not the only one that's doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
I have tons of friends, tons of wrestling friends that didn't watch it all. They read highlights because they didn't want to support it. Do you think that WWE can actually fix Crown Jewel?
That's the thing. It's not just a bunch of ancillary problems. It's at its core, the fact that they're doing this as basically a PR thing for the Saudi Arabian government, a very corrupt and malicious government, in my opinion. That's the heart of the problem, is they're taking their money, and apparently they've got, 7 more of these to go?
So from what I understand, it was basically a $500 million deal for 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, by taking that money and just continuing to put the event on, you're never going to fully fix.
And mind you, that money I just mentioned, that's just straight up money.
Yeah.
So they could actually have no one show up to these events and they'd still make that money. There's concessions to be made. There's royalty checks being cashed out on top of that. So this is a huge moneymaker all around. But I agree with you. I think there's not really a way to fix it. I think what you need to do is be a la UFC and pull out and say, this is not for us.
That's the sad part is we know that Vince and WWE will never do that.
Well, it's also their board of directors. So everyone's Vince McMahon's a chairman. Yes, he walks around like he's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. At the end of the day, he reports to the board of directors. All right. So yeah, I know that McMahon's own WB overall, own WB, but still there's a good 46% out there that are owned by other people. If they dropped out, they wouldn't have the money to back it.
That's a good point.
So the money, the operations involved and all that. So Vince does report to a higher power, so to speak, what have you. But no, that's the thing. I think that there's money to be made. They're making the call from the top. And I think the only way to get out of this is to not do it.
Can't not do it.
Well, the other thing that bothers me too is you want to have this, you want to make money. I can't blame a business for wanting to make money. I can't blame that. But what I can blame for is when you say this is a biggest spectacle is WrestleMania. That's crap.
Yeah.
WrestleMania should be the end all be all spectacle. And everyone should believe whether AEW or ROH is better, the main event at WrestleMania, that is the match that every single professional wrestler wants to be in. That's what they work their life for. Until someone else bigger comes along. At the end of the day, everyone that loves AEW knows it. Everyone that watches ROH knows it. The main event at WrestleMania is what moves the industry as a whole. Everyone knows that at the core. That being said, they're saying that this spectacle of as far as like, it's just as big as WrestleMania. It's bothersome, especially when it happens a couple times a year.
Yeah. Well,
WrestleMania doesn't happen a couple times a year. It's
Yeah.
like WrestleMania is like the holidays. It happens once a year. It's not that. So that way, it's like if it happened all the time, it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Right.
This is a really big
is
deal.
special,
WrestleMania
yeah.
is the spectacle, the showcase of the immortals.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's the Super Bowl. It's the Oscars. It's the Emmys all rolled into one.
Right.
You know?
That's the thing, right? WWE seems to be getting more and more comfortable with just undercutting, their big shows. Like Hell in a Cell doesn't really feel as big anymore. Like,
Well, because when it ends in a no contest, why would it?
yeah, like,
Why would it?
Yeah, and it's Heck in a Cell now. You know what I mean? Like Hell in a Cell used to be like a really big deal, bigger than a cage match, bigger than anything like that. You're locked in there, two men, steel, and just all these you think of the Undertaker versus Mankind. You think of Triple H versus Mankind.
Which, by the way, I think is part of the problem with Hell in a Cell is that, in a way, Undertaker and Mankind, specifically Mankind McFoley, sort of set the bar so damn high.
kind of peaked.
But that being said, I think Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, the first Hell in a Cell match was great. There was a lot of good Hell in a Cell matches. There's a lot of duds too. Remember DX versus the McMahons?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, with Big Show, I guess. Yeah. So there was a lot of duds in there too. But at the end of the day, like Hell in a Cell, they don't have to always make it about blood and guts. They can make it about very strategic bumps.
Right.
Or as we saw, like as far as in the women's match, the Hell in a Cell, I thought it was really great because they actually, the way they used the cage itself,
Yes.
and threw each other into it and whatnot, I thought it was pretty innovative.
Yes.
So not only you have like as far as the women's Hell in a Cell match, you got they're making innovation on that on top of that.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of things it doesn't have to be all blood and guts.
As long as the match feels definitive. Like that's all
right.
you need at the end of the day.
Right. Well, and that's what the Hell in a Cell used to be. Apparently it's not, though. I mean, when you have it end in a no contest. But the other thing, I think the way around that for that situation would be to drop the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Just drop it and have it be a stipulation that we have every 3 years or so.
There you go.
So then it's a big deal,
Okay.
It's a little different because, War Games, you want to have that every year because it's a nice spectacle.
Yeah.
But since you have so many people involved, a lot of people are getting paid, a lot of people are getting over, you can set up these giant sets, and it doesn't have to be about two guys or in this case, two girls,
Sure.
right? So it can be about you can have 15 people in a War Games match and you can get a lot of people over. And so not everyone has to do the work,
Good point.
at least at the same time. So hey, but that's how they get around that. But anyway, I think with Saudi Arabia, I think with the Crown Jewel, the way out of it is to, I think, not do it. But at this point, contracts are contracts, right? And I actually, not to be a conspiracy theorist. So I mentioned at the top of the show, at this point, the boys and girls are getting back home from Saudi Arabia about 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Eastern. By the time we're done with this podcast, we should have them back in the States.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I thought it was really interesting. I've heard a lot of rumors floating around. It was a mechanical error.
Yes.
There was some weather involved, but
I heard something about a problem with the gas or the fuel, rather.
I'll tell you what. I think what it came down to is this. You look at the start and stop time of Crown Jewel, it was 3.5 hours this time.
Yes.
In the years past, or past Crown Jewels, I should say, it's been maybe almost 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there was a chunk of change taken out. I wonder if WWE didn't do as far as more publicity for whatever political reasons they want them to do. I wonder if this was, and again, this is me being a conspiracy theorist at this point, I wonder if they were not held back as a pawn, as an FU to Vince McMahon.
Oh.
I've traveled a lot myself, to be honest. I have traveled a lot, and I've ran into certain situations, but for a mechanical thing like this with people that are so high profile, I would think that issue would get solved immediately.
Right.
I'm a low profile person, and I'm a Z-lister, right? And, I'm a low profile person myself. And I've never had an issue, and I travel quite a bit, and I've never had an issue like that happen. So I don't know. To me, I feel like there was some money that wasn't exchanged. I don't know. All I got to say is Vince McMahon, Heyman, Hogan, and Brock Lesnar got out just in time, it seems like. But I don't know. It seems kind of weird to me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's more to the story or not, but it's just something to kind of point out. There's been a lot of different rumors about what happened. I feel like the part situation seems a bit off. Well, it was also that long of a delay too. Well, I've had it where it goes delayed like hours, but like a whole where you have to stay back for like a hotel and essentially almost leave like 2 days later.
But honestly, considering the things this government's done, it's not the most far-fetched possibility. It really isn't.
Well, I'd like to think it is, but here's the thing: is there's been no official kind of response of what it was.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of is like interesting. It's like it's one thing like you've got the Saudi Arabian government, which is from what we hear is very political. They're very full of propaganda and so on and so forth. And what we understand, why would this not be a situation where everyone's like, why did this happen? And why would you not try to soothe it over? Say, oh, it was officially a mechanical issue, or it was officially this, or we've heard all these different rumors. Why aren't we just hearing what actually officially happened?
Clear it up, yeah.
Right. I just think that's kind of interesting.
A little fishy. It is.
Right. And especially when this is like, they talk propaganda. They want to work really well with other governments. They want to use this event and theater events and athletics, and as far as in Jeddah to promote what have you. Okay. But I don't know. Again, it's interesting that we haven't heard an official thing. I've heard nothing but rumors, but I'm glad to hear everyone's getting back. That's, I think, again, the core of what we should be looking at is everyone's getting back safe. But it is kind of interesting. Again, I don't know. Crown Jewel, it was a considerably shorter run time this time. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just stirring up crap. Maybe rumors just getting started because of people like me. I don't know. But again, I think the core of what's going on here is that there was never an official answer. It was just nothing but rumors are floating out there. So to me, it seems like it should be an obvious answer. And why it took so long to resolve, I don't know.
Maybe we'll find some more information, in the next few days. Getting back to trying to fix Crown Jewel, since we can't fix it, right? We basically decided that the only thing that WWE can do at this point, if they wanted to do the right thing here, would be to try and offset the fact that they're being paid by such a malicious government by trying to, I don't know how much they could, but to try and leverage their power to try and get change within the country. I mean, of course, having Lacey Evans and Natty,
that's part of it. Yep.
Natty wrestle, that's a step, and I'm sure that WWE brought that up and worked with them. But do a little more. Try and do more. I mean, there's still more that can be done. To me, that's the only way you could try and counteract, the damage that WWE has already done. Basically,
well, and it was such a historical moment too, and I feel like it was one of those where you saw after the match, Lacey Evans and Natalia were as far as giving the high fives to the fans and especially females reaching out and whatnot.
Right.
They're good moments. At the end of it, it was a good moment to see. And so, I think you're right. There is maybe that to be said, that they could leverage that for not only the interest of the people, but also their own interests.
Sure.
The fact that WWE can officially be part of history.
Right.
That's pretty cool, right?
That's true.
So there's that. But I don't know. I mean, I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, it's like, a lot of people say, why do it? The other thing, too, is they could take a page out of Mustafa Ali's playbook and donate some money.
Oh, there you go.
So they get all this money. What if they donated to Connor's cure? There we go. I don't know. But maybe that would probably be the only silver lining here. But I don't know. I think that, again, Vince runs the company and there's a board of directors that he reports to. And, well, at the end of the day, cash is king.
Their priorities are different than ours.
That is true. That is true. That is true. But again, there was a lot of good things that happened, but there is sort of a lot of controversy, of course, with Crown Jewel, any way you look at it. And, of course, again, it's interesting, this whole plane ride situation. I don't even know why it's a situation. It feels like it should have been something cleared up really quickly, but we'll see in the next couple of days if something pops out. But speaking of controversy, Jordan Myles T-shirt. So that was, I tell you, when I saw that T-shirt, the first thing I thought was, wow, that was pretty disgusting. As far as the updated design we saw. So
for anybody not familiar, Jordan Myles, NXT superstar. He was in the tournament, the recent tournament. The recent breakout tournament he was in. And the idea is, he's a big smiley guy. Myles is Smiles, right? Yeah. Jordan Myles is very clever. But so he's a big smiley guy. He's a happy guy. He's got positive energy. So they wanted to capitalize on that. I get that. But if you look back in history, do a Google search for Al Jolson, the jazz singer. And you'll see what they ended up putting on the shirt was they had his teeth in white, Jordan Myles spelled out, but then it was surrounded by a big old red lip, which if anybody's unfamiliar, that's a very offensive form of blackface. And of course the shirt itself is black. Right. So it's basically creating blackface like a minstrel show type thing. Very offensive, very, very disrespectful to African Americans. It's a terrible thing. And Jordan Myles, rightfully so, is unhappy with it. He ended up taking it to social media, ended up, I think, posting a video basically saying, WWE doesn't care about black people. I understand he's upset. I don't think it was deliberate, though. I think they're just idiots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's still racist. It's still awful, and he still has every right to be upset that they just let this slip out. But I don't think this was any malicious attempt by any designer.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think anyone was out to get him.
Right.
I guess what I was surprised about is why would he not be pissed off at the original version he saw? It was just on the white T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, because this design got through, he didn't realize it was on a black T-shirt.
That's the
first he saw it was a white T-shirt, but to me, if I saw that on a white T-shirt, I might have been like, I don't like this.
Right.
That's just my personal thought. But
I'm just thinking of the position that Myles is in right now. He's a fairly low man on the totem pole. He's not the superstar.
Yeah.
He doesn't have much clout. So apparently there was an email exchange where he saw the shirt and he talked to the head of design there, and he said, well, yeah, Triple H really liked this design, apparently, was what they were saying. And so, if you're Jordan Myles, you're like, oh, okay, well, Trips likes it. I mean, hey, well, what can I do? This is my big chance. This is probably one of his first shirts with NXT, I'm guessing. Maybe it is his first shirt overall. So,
with WWE, yes.
Yeah, so maybe you're kind of a little leaning towards it, but then of course when you find out it's on a black shirt and it just looks that awful, and people should have spotted that and recognized that and nixed it.
Do you think it looked awful on a white T-shirt?
It still looked awful on a white T-shirt, I think. Yeah, totally.
That's my whole thing. And I'm not trying to point any fingers. I'm just saying
right.
But at the core of it, I don't think anyone actually, I think it was just stupid design.
Yeah.
I think it was really dumb design, but I don't know that anyone was actually being malicious, but still it was something that I don't know. When I first saw it, I knew right away. I was like, oh yeah, it's gross. It's horrible. Yeah, I don't know. I would have gone back to the drawing board on the whole situation and scratched it. And it sounds like they pulled the shirt.
Yeah.
They didn't sell a single shirt. They pulled it. I'm hoping they're going to go back to the drawing board on that one.
Sure.
But the other thing too is Jordan Myles has been absent from the Performance Center the past couple weeks. So he actually hasn't been there. So last we heard it was a medical absence, but we haven't heard much except for the social media storm in regards to the shirt, what he's sort of got, speaking his mind as he rightfully should be. So yeah, but I'll tell you what, I had a chance to see Jordan Myles' ACH on the independent circuit, specifically with AAW at the Logan Square Auditorium in Chicago, all the time. And he is, him and he would throw on, we're talking these 60-minute Broadway matches with Trevor Lee, who is now Cameron Grimes in NXT, and they would just blow the roof off as far as the arena in the Logan Square Auditorium. And it was always a great time to see him in the ring. So I was so happy when he got to WWE. I really hope this whole thing gets behind everyone. He's able to get his voice heard, which is what I think he's really fighting for, and he really needs to keep fighting for. Yeah. So I hope he gets his voice heard. But I hope he's able to go back and do what he should be doing. That's wrestling.
Yeah.
But I understand the circumstances he's in, and I think it's got to be his way. And I think that there's a lot to be learned from a stupid design like this, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's hope they're more careful in the future. This is really ridiculous,
Yeah. Yep. No, for sure. But no, yeah. I was kind of bummed. One of the things I was thinking about when NXT invaded SmackDown was that Jordan Myles would have probably been part of that group. He was the NXT breakout star. I was kind of bummed not to see him, but I think that was kind of a cool thing they did. It seems seemingly last minute. I think that probably the plan. Well, the plan originally was always because they had publicized that they were going to have NXT involved at Survivor Series.
Okay, yeah.
Pre-Crown Jewel. So we had that idea. So I think NXT was going to come to SmackDown anyway, but I think they had to change up quite a bit because a lot of SmackDown was still stuck in Saudi Arabia. But I still think it's a great storyline to have NXT sort of invade SmackDown because, again, NXT is officially it is the developmental league, but that's not how they're pushed. NXT is pushed as a third brand.
Yeah.
On the same level, Raw and SmackDown, and I would actually say it might even be better than Raw or SmackDown. But no, I think it's cool. I think it was kind of a cool thing to sort of see. It's interesting that Raw and SmackDown seemingly will be on the same side. They're taking on NXT. That's kind of an interesting thing, unless we see and I guess we're seeing NXT and NXT UK team up.
Yes.
Because Rhea Ripley is still officially part of NXT UK, but I think it's kind of, it's NXT, right? It's how they sort of share talent and move people around and whatnot. So we'll see that eventually with NXT Mexico and NXT Japan, and we'll see that all, down the road. Yeah, no, I was kind of bummed not to see Jordan Myles there, but I do like the storyline and I like where they're going with this.
It's exciting. It's shades of the Nexus a little bit, kind of a little bit of invasion.
Yeah.
Not the invasion angle, because that was a dud, but just, a little bit of shades of when Hall and Nash kind of invaded WCW, kind of bring back a little bit of memories of that kind of.
Well, we kind of saw this before when SmackDown invaded Raw and vice versa, but I think it's interesting because NXT until this point has been considered developmental.
Yeah.
But now I think they're kind of making the case of no, this is a third brand on the same level.
What I think makes it more exciting this time around than versus, SmackDown invading Raw is that it's NXT. You know, it's that slightly more maverick, more edgy, more youthful, more hardcore. You know, even though it's under the WWE umbrella, that's kind of the punky, you know, the punk stepchild kind of thing going on. So it's a little more exciting. You got like, you know, people like Shayna Baszler popping up. It's exciting.
NXT was put over.
That's for sure. Yeah,
NXT. I mean, Tommaso Ciampa got over. You know, Miz, and I actually read a report where NXT, the talents, like they had got up there like I guess 5 minutes before the show started, were police escorted to the arena so they could get through security and all that.
Oh, very cool.
Isn't that amazing? Like, oh my gosh, like they were almost missed. The backup almost missed the show.
Wow. Yeah, though I'd heard there was a lot of turmoil going on trying to figure out what to do.
Not wild.
You know, you're missing half the roster basically for SmackDown.
Well, and I think that's what they did. I think that NXT was going to probably actually invade next week.
Oh, okay.
And I think they had like, well, we got to push it up, and if we're going to have them do it, we got to have them do it tonight. So it's a perfect angle.
Worked out.
They can say NXT invaded, you know, when SmackDown was down their talent. Come back and we'll talk then and see what's going on.
Right.
But hopefully we'll see NXT on Raw, which I don't know about you, but I feel like Raw has just gotten so boring.
Oh God, they don't even care anymore.
It seems like Brock Lesnar is going to Raw.
Yeah,
which is I don't necessarily think it's going to help the cause. It's going to give some exposure, but I figured the moment Fiend won the title, that Brock Lesnar would be going to Raw with the title. Because here's the thing: Paul Heyman is part of Raw. He is like their executive director of Raw.
Yeah.
That's not kayfabe, that's real.
Yeah.
And Paul Heyman does a lot of managing for Brock Lesnar in and out of the ring. It doesn't just stop in wrestling. Paul Heyman is actually a trusted friend, an actual advocate of Brock Lesnar in and out of the ring. So I think there's that. So I think Paul Heyman probably wanted, since Paul Heyman wasn't going to SmackDown, probably wanted Brock Lesnar closer to him. And if you're going to have a part-time champion, you might as well put him on the supposed B show.
Yeah.
Just to be honest.
You might as well.
Well, and the thing is, I don't know if Fox knew. I think Fox wanted Brock Lesnar.
Oh, sure.
But I don't know if they realized he was a part-time worker. So like, well, we want that Fiend guy then. He's around a lot, right? All right, we'll take him. So,
oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know. But Brock Lesnar seems like he's going to be on Raw now. I'm not overly excited about Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio. I could see Rey Mysterio going over. Quicker. I mean, this would be like a la Nitro.
Yeah.
This would be a la Nitro.
Yeah.
Where Rey Mysterio beat Kevin Nash. It was a power bomb and do like a Hurricanrana. That's the only way I could see them going out of this. Because if Brock Lesnar destroys Rey Mysterio, it's going to be like, so what? We knew that.
Yeah.
We expected that.
Right.
So I guess what I'd probably do is have Rey Mysterio beat Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. He actually gets the world championship. Within 2 seconds, Brock Lesnar destroys him. Like, we're talking 10 F5s, goes through tables, and it seems like Rey Mysterio might be out forever. All right. Then Brock Lesnar, doesn't get the title, but they have like this tournament for the new champion or something on Raw. People that actually watch Raw then, I think, at that point. So I don't know. I mean, that's the only way they can go with the storyline, because at this point it's like, great. This has not really put Brock Lesnar over. Yeah. He beat up Rey Mysterio's son. Mm-hmm. This kid's only going to report to the Performance Center a year from now. So it's like, great, Brock Lesnar, you beat up that guy. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's like Roddy Piper always used to say, you always have to talk up your opponent, because if you beat someone and no one really gave a crap, well, no one's going to give a care about your win. Mm-hmm. But when you talk someone up and you beat them, then you really get over.
It's true.
This is kind of a situation here too, where I don't know where else they would go with it. He's beat up Cain Velasquez, which we all knew would happen. Yeah, it was one of those. I was the entire time like, there's no way he's going to win. If Cain actually wins this championship, the stock would have to drop. Mm-hmm. Fans would just tune out. I mean, it was just nothing against Cain Velasquez, but he's
not that guy.
Well,
right now
he was thrown into I think he was thrown into something really quickly.
Yeah,
I think they saw what AEW did with Jake Hager, Jack Swagger, and I think they rushed to get Cain Velasquez signed, because he was doing some work with AAA, so he wasn't a complete novice in the ring. He's got some experience, but I don't think that he was ready for it. I mean, he wrestled AAA, which is, I don't know, a month or so ago, month and a half. Mm-hmm. And now he's at Crown Jewel main eventing as Brock Lesnar. So, but I'm sure he got blank checked. He said, "Hey, listen,
no doubt.
we want to make sure that that loss that Brock Lesnar has, we want to make sure it's tainted. So what we're gonna do is have you completely go down in a WWE ring. But we're gonna give you $80 billion to do it."
Yeah.
Kane's like, "Okay, all right,
sure,
cool, let's
whatever.
do it." Yeah. But for what it's worth, he showed up. He did his job.
He did.
I don't think that I think he's got a. Well, I don't know. I think the next thing we see him at is maybe Rey Mysterio and Cain Velasquez against Brock Lesnar and Shelton Benjamin. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bring back the Minnesota Power Team. Of course, Shelton Benjamin and Brock Lesnar are good friends in real life, based on, the Minnesota college wrestling days and all that. So University of Minnesota thereof. But I don't know. I mean, I really, at the end of the day, I don't know where else they'd go if they want to keep kind of hanging on this Rey Mysterio, Brock Lesnar. Where are they going to go with it other than have Rey Mysterio beat him or something? I don't know. And then Brock Lesnar can go in his hole for 6 months, come back out of WrestleMania, win the title again.
Okay.
So
I'll go with that.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
They probably won't do something that good, but we can hope.
But Survivor Series will be cool. That weekend will be cool here in Chicago. I'm totally stoked for the War Games match for NXT. That's going to be awesome. We'll see that as far as all-female War Games match. And I assume we'll probably see Undisputed Era, maybe in a War Games match, you know?
There you go.
Why not? You got to have a couple War Games matches, right? Like, so they've always delivered. I've yet to see a bad War Games match actually ever in NXT history or WCW history.
It's always exciting. Yeah, it's always exciting. I'm so glad they brought it back.
What else you got for us, Josh?
Well, sir, we actually received an unusual request, but a welcome one from a viewer named Nick. Nick contacted us and asked us if we could actually review an episode of Raw. And, we've never done that before, but you know what? We aim to please. And maybe
the show is for the people.
It's for the people.
It really is, because a lot of our topics, in fact, all of our topics, well, there might have been like one or two where we didn't have any suggestions that week, so we just kind of thought, all right, let's talk about this day and age wrestling. But our topics come from fans. So a lot of what drives the show is actually fan input. So it's always welcome. Hit us up in the hot box, Josh and Josh Talk Wrestling at gmail.com. I thought it was an interesting submission. We don't generally do this, but I thought, why not?
Yeah, Nick reached out to us, and he was looking back to the olden days of Raw. He asked us to actually review a May 17th, 1993 episode of Raw.
Very specific.
Very specific. Well, actually, we like that because, we could just go right to the episode and check it out. And, let me tell you, the first thing I noticed going back to this is how refreshing it was. And how much in some ways it reminds me of AEW.
Yeah.
Where you have a very brief segment with the commentators. You go right into the action. Maybe you have a brief promo, but it's just match after match after match. It was a solid episode. So thank you, Nick. Yeah. So it opens with Bobby Heenan, Vince McMahon, and Macho Man on commentary. Classic trio. I just loved it. The Weasel is so good.
Yeah, and just to throw in, with the fans going nuts and kind of being the a la AEW, it's the fans are the secret ingredient.
Yeah.
When you used to watch those old Monday Night Raw episodes, it's like nowadays I feel like I watch Raw and it's just fans that are sitting on their hands. But when you watch that episode, or like AEW, you see it recently. But when I was watching that episode, the May 17th episode, I thought the same thing, Josh. I was like, oh my gosh, the fans are really into this stuff.
Yeah, they're connected, they're invested.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's kind of like, think about it like the Apollo Theater, right? The audience makes it.
Yeah.
And that's what actually made NXT was the fans.
Yeah.
But the thing is, AEW, they're in a bigger arena and they're getting the same effect as NXT. That's why they're killing it.
Great crowd. And, it was 1 hour, or it was actually 46 minutes without the commercials.
Right, back in the day.
How refreshing is that to watch a Raw that's under an hour and they just pack it in?
Nowadays, we counted out. It was 11 hours of wrestling a week to watch?
Yeah.
Actually, it might be more now with the new, as far as everything coming out, but this fall with all the new wrestling. But yeah, it's 11 some hours of wrestling to watch, and I have a hard time keeping up on it. I generally miss 205.
Yeah,
I can't keep up with everything. But no, you're absolutely right. Back then, that was all you got was the hour on Raw and the hour on Saturday morning Superstars.
Well, actually, during this episode of Raw, they were promoting WWF Mania Saturday mornings on USA Network. Do you remember this?
Oh, that was the revolving door. Yeah, because at one point it was Live Wire. It was it's either Superstars or Live Wire, or then it was that.
Something like that, yeah.
They sort of rotated that in and out. They changed that quite a bit, but yeah.
Todd Pettengill promoting it. Oh, man.
I love Todd Pettengill, man.
He's great. He's great. Great energy.
Everything. He always made you feel so guilty. He's like, so if you think you're going to see it anywhere else this Sunday, and he'd shake his head, not going to happen. You're not going to be able to live your life without seeing the main event this Sunday. Your parents will know what you did, and you'll go to hell. He would make you feel so guilty. And I'd be like, I got to get that pay-per-view. But as I mentioned before to our fans, back in the day, I discovered I could stick a fork in the back of my TV. I went to Channel 99. I could hear all the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So I never actually saw any pay-per-views, but I got to hear them. But anyway, back to the review of this Raw episode for Nick.
So the night opens with the first match, Smoking Guns versus Glenn Ruth and Tony Vajda. Do you know who these two guys are, Glenn and Tony here?
I don't actually know.
They're wearing very nondescript onesies, I guess you'd call them.
Yeah.
Or leotards. I wonder if maybe they were local talent. But anyway.
Yeah, it could be.
The most interesting part of this match is when the Smoking Guns walk in, they get into the ring and they pull out actual prop guns and fire them with like a pop gun type effect.
Yeah, I thought the same.
And I'm just like, never today. They wouldn't even have the guns in the holsters.
Well, how dangerous is that? Think about when you step back, even back then, the very idea of these guys walking in, just shooting around and stuff.
Right. Well, Prop guns.
Well, the prop guns, but still, like, actually, I wrestled for, I have a limited wrestling history, but I did wrestle for Cedar Falls Wrestling Alliance in Cedar Falls, Iowa, and there was actually a gun used in a match. So it was basically your typical face versus heel. At one point, the heel goes into their trunks. And hand to God, they pulled out a gun and shot the guy. I was like, oh my gosh. Then he goes to pin the guy. 1, 2, guy kicks out. So he got shot, but he kicked out of it. And then, so what does the heel do? He gets up, stands back, and shoots him again, like 2, 3 more times. And I'm like, now this is, again, it's a prop gun. I should have prefaced that if you know, it's a prop gun. He shot the guy 4 times. As he's going down to pin him, all of a sudden the guy rises like a zombie, goes, ugh. The guy came back to life as a zombie. So what happens is the guy the face that got shot comes back to life as a zombie, is chasing the heel around, eventually gets the heel, and he starts eating the heel. The heel becomes a zombie. So now you have these 2 zombies roaming around trying to get to the fans and stuff. Referees come out. They're trying to break him up, but then they eat the referees. So the referees are now walking around as zombies too. Officially, it was declared a no contest. And somehow the next week, both were fine, back to life, like nothing happened. It was at Halloween Hell. Halloween Hell back in 2002.
Oh, that sounds great.
Which I'm sure you've heard of, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So anyway, so that was the other time I believe a gun's been used.
That's
using the ring. So
where do you go from there, man? Like,
I honestly don't remember what happened. I don't remember what was part of the storyline, but I think they just kind of dropped it like it was WCW, like it never happened.
Wow.
What storyline? What are you talking about? That didn't happen. It's like 1984. That never happened.
Wild stuff.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, back to the review.
So smoking guns win. Predictably.
Do they shoot Glenn Ruth and Mark Jacobs or
Mark Jacobs? Tony Vajda. Jeez Louise.
I should look their names up. I didn't recognize them, and I'm probably an asshole. And I bet when I look them up, they're going to be like these awesome guys I should have known about.
You never know. Maybe they went on to bigger things.
Maybe.
Change their names. Smoking guns win, of course. It was a decent match. It was fine. But after that, we get Shawn Michaels giving a promo with just the ultra mullet.
Yeah.
You see that mullet? It was it was wonderful.
That's cool, man.
He's basically talking to Vince's moderating it, and he's, Marty Jannetty.
That was refreshing.
Yeah,
with Vince moderating. Yeah, that was kind of cool to see.
Right? Oh, hello. How are you? What's going on here? What would you do, Shawn Michaels?
Announcing and commentating. I love Vince McMahon. Like when Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura. That was a great team.
Oh, good combo. Yeah, that's for sure.
So
that's for sure. But so during this promo, Mr. Marty Jannetty climbs over the ring wearing a hoodie, and Shawn Michaels is all like, "Hey, buddy, you paid your ticket, but get back into the audience." Yeah, as if
everyone's like, "And back on Marty Jannetty."
Yeah, because and he puts his head, "Oh, it's Marty Jannetty! Holy shit!"
That reminds me, there was a time when Dusty Rhodes did that against like Ric Flair, where Dusty Rhodes got injured, and this guy that was wearing a mask kept coming out. And Ric Flair's like, I don't know who this guy is. But it's obviously Dusty Rhodes in a mask.
Yeah.
And he's wearing his trunks and everything. So he finally has his match with the masked guy. And then he takes the mask off. And Ric Flair's like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Woo! Dusty Rhodes, the son of a gun. Like he came out of nowhere. Like he was the only person that didn't know Dusty Rhodes was the masked Marvel guy. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Where do you go on from that, Josh?
So Marty Jannetty challenges HBK to an IC Intercontinental title match.
Yeah.
Which happens later in the night. But that promo is followed by Razor Ramon versus The Kid.
The Kid, right?
And
just The Kid at that point.
Yeah, apparently he'd been changing his name quite frequently.
Lightning
lately.
Kid and Kid.
And in fact, his outfit actually said L Kid. L.Kid, Lightning Kid.
Yeah.
So but he was the Kid this time. And Razor was really throwing him around for a while there. Yeah. I mean, Shawn White, he's a little guy. He's not the biggest guy, and he was very young at that point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But in a surprise win, he steals a victory from Razor Ramon, much to the crowd's surprise, much to Razor's surprise. He steals it and he gets the hell out of there. Yeah. It was terrific. The crowd went nuts. It was such an upset. Terrific, fun match. Good surprise because I was 10 when this came up. So I don't remember any of this. Well,
because we all felt like we were part of the Kid, Lightning Kid, 1, 2, 3 Kid, what have you. Mm-hmm. We all felt like we were part of his journey,
right?
Like because they kind of advertised like he was a guy, this sort of kid that just jumped the ring and said, "Hey, I want to do this. I had some wrestling gear. I want to do this right now." And so it kind of built up to this. Eventually, got a win over a major WWF superstar as it were at that time. So it was. I remember kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, it took me back to like sort of a la when Barry Horowitz got his first victory over Skip, and I was like, oh my gosh, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was that miracle moment, you know?
That's right. That's right. Like the Milan Miracle with like Santino.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, when he beat Umaga for the Intercontinental title.
Next was Tatanka versus Scott Taylor. Tatanka just destroys Scott Taylor. No big deal there.
You know what? It reminded me of that when I was watching that match was like Tatanka was undefeated for like the longest time. And like when Ludwig Borga finally beat him, I was like, oh my gosh. I just remember being crushed. It was just like, I don't know. It was kind of like when Asuka lost. It was like,
Yeah.
It took me back though.
Good times. Good times. Good memories. Kamala versus Yokozuna. No big deal here. Fuji ends up distracting Kamala, and Yokozuna ends up winning.
Yeah.
But now that that's out of the way, the main event.
Now the main event.
Raw, May 17th, 1993. HBK versus Marty Jannetty. It was actually a really great match.
Yeah.
Very fast paced, good energy. There was some like surprising sequences going on there. At some point, Marty's really putting the screws to him, so HBK actually tries to leave with the belt, of course, because he's heel at the time.
Right.
But Mr. Perfect, with whom, if you recall, he was feuding with Shawn Michaels at that time.
That's right.
They actually showed some footage of that earlier in the episode, I remember. Blocks his path.
Yep.
It's funny because they blocks his path, and he's like, oh no, and
you're trapped.
And then they go to a commercial break. So I'm imagining 2 to 4 minutes of just Shawn Michaels like, But actually, when they do come back, the match has just begun, I think.
Was it live? Was it a live show or was it taped?
I think it was taped at the time.
Okay,
yeah,
so there you go.
Still taped. So, but Marty Jannetty won.
Yeah,
became a new IC title winner. Yeah,
and that was actually the thing about it is that was like his peak. If you really think about it, because it wasn't too much he did after that. I mean, he had the new rockers and he had a really small stint in WCW, but it didn't go anywhere, and it was kind of the peak of his career. And it's kind of too bad. I was always a huge Rockers fan. In fact, you have to really say that the Rockers are probably in the list of maybe the top 5 tag teams of all time.
Ooh,
it's got to be up there.
I could see, totally.
It's got to be up there.
Yeah, totally.
I would say they're better than the Hardys.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
They're different. I mean, the thing is, like if you're just talking wrestling, I think you'd agree. But there's more spectacle involved with the Hardys. Like you think about the TLC matches. Right. Now, but could you imagine the Rockers back in the day doing a TLC match? They would rock it.
Amazing.
No pun intended, but they would blow the roof off.
They would.
That'd be kind of cool. That's what you want to see in the new video game.
Oh, don't get me started on that new game.
I heard it was kind of bogus.
It's so jank.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. They took a step back.
That's a bummer. But anyway, no, like back to the review. No, I thought that it was personally, we sort of got the review in the hot box or the idea in the hot box, and I thought, that's kind of a weird suggestion. But then I'm actually glad that Nick had suggested that, because it really made me think. It actually took me back kind of like down a memory lane.
Yeah, really. It was nice. So thanks a lot, Nick.
Yeah, no, it was a good idea. And so we welcome all submissions, comments, concerns, ideas for shows. We could definitely choose it. But hit us up in the hot box, josh@joshtalkwrestling@gmail.com. Josh, what else you got for us? Anything else?
That's it. Go tell your friends to subscribe.
That's right. And be cool with each other and love each other. And we'll talk to you all soon.
Have a good night, everybody.